Welcome back to The Real Story, everybody. Well, if you've been grocery shopping over the last several months, you'll know that the look and feel of grocery stores has dramatically changed. It is an industry that continues to evolve and innovate. And here to talk with us about it is Wayne Pesce, is the president of the Connecticut Food Association. Wayne, always great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Matt. Good morning.
Good morning. Stop and Shop. Let's start there. They recently announced that they're going to be ending their hazard pay or appreciation pay for their employees, and some state senators recently came out in opposition to that. Do you think that grocery store employees should still be getting this increased pay?
Well, again, I mean, that's a difficult question in the sense that each one of our members has their own business models, and each of those chose to, give employees extra pay during, the first several months of the pandemic. So that's an individual business decision that each of our members is going to make.
All right. Hey, where do we stand on meat production? I think this is interesting. You know, last month we heard about some shortages, COVID infections at the meat processing facilities. Where do we stand? Are we stocked up in the meat section?
So the animal processing industry employs approximately 525,000 workers with 3,500 facilities nationwide. In April and May, 23 states reported COVID-19 outbreaks in both meat and poultry processing facilities. There were over 16,000 cases in 240 facilities. With almost 86 deaths during that time frame. So in the late spring, demand was trending at about 130%, with capacity falling to about 70%, which caused a 60-point delta in supply versus demand. Demand has since subsided, and supply is in better shape now than it was in the beginning of June. So I think we're in a better place than where we were 60 days ago, but you're still going to see some intermittent out of stocks, but not like you saw 4 or 5 weeks ago.
So Wayne, are we experiencing disruptions anywhere across the food supply chain? How does the supply chain work? I mean, are there redundancies and resiliencies built into it?
Well, again, I think initially, back in, if you go all the way back to mid-March, when really everything kind of blew up at the time, I don't know that anybody was prepared for the panic buying and the stock-ups that we were seeing. Consumers rushed to the stores, they overbought, they pantry loaded, and we just didn't have the supply chain to keep up. So I think everybody got their freezers full and they got their basements full with everything that they needed. It caused some out of stocks at the time. I think that we're by that. But again, we're still in uncharted waters here. The supply chain is in a much better place than it was 30 days ago, and certainly in a much better place than it was 60 days ago. But any type of resurgence or any type of step backward as it relates to the pandemic could cause another problem. But we're moving forward at this point. We're in pretty good shape.
Hey, you just alluded to it, but I want to ask the question anyway. Did anybody really run out of toilet paper, Wayne? I mean, was this a supply issue or was this more of a hoarding issue? And in general, where do we stand on the shortages of consumer staple goods like toilet paper and cleaning products?
Yeah, again, those were not supply issues. Those were all demand issues. The influx of customers and consumers that flock to the stores. The one thing about groceries and food, there's a sense of comfort for people, right? They want to make sure that they have enough. And early on, when the news came out, every time there was an announcement, we've got a rush of folks that came to the stores and they stocked up more than they normally would have bought. A lot of what happened early on was around panic buying. That has since subsided.
Yep.
So we're in a good shape. That's what drove the disruptions in the supply chain, was the actual folks trying to get out there and get as many things as they could as quickly as they could. And again, I've said this before. That's all about people feeling secure and making sure that their families are safe and that they're going to have enough. As part of the state's critical infrastructure, the food industry is unique because grocery stores, food distributors, and food producers remained open throughout the late winter and spring in an effort to ensure food was available as thousands of businesses were forced to close. Our 25,000 frontline associates performed and continue to perform an amazing community service, keeping our families fed and reaching out to help support our state's most food insecure population. So we learned a lot through this. And one of the things
Right.
I was hoping we were going to touch on a little bit was on some of the safe store rules and some of the protocols that we had put in place during the pandemic to keep people safe.
Sure, we can get to that. I wanted to talk about bottle rooms, though, first, Wayne, because I think a lot of people are now starting to return their bottles, and it can often be a very enclosed space and sometimes dirty. So what went into the decision to reopen bottle rooms?
So I call it bottles and bags. On the bottles, so initially we got word that we had many associates and many distributors who because we weren't sure of what the pandemic was and how it was transmitted, were really uncomfortable handling some of these, handling some of the bottles and the cans that come back. So we worked with DEP and the folks in the Department of Health and suspended the bottle bill for approximately 45 days. But again, that causes another set of issues because now many people started having lots of bottles and cans in their basements and in their garages that needed to come back. I saw one statistic that Connecticut residents redeemed $50,000 a day in nickels. So at some point as we moved on, that loosened up and the bottles came back. But that was something that was suspended really as a precaution for safety because we didn't know at the time how the disease was transmitted.
And when you talk about bags, customers, do they still need to do their own bagging if they're going to bring a reusable bag? And it's also my understanding that there's some grocers who are actually making bags that are compostable. Is that true?
Well, there's a couple different things floating around there, Matt. Similar situation with the bags. That's why I kind of say bags and bottles. With the bags, again, I think that consumers early on had concerns about how the disease was transmitted. Most folks were bringing, prior to the COVID, we had almost 80% of Connecticut residents were bringing their own bags, which was actually kind of amazing based on the fact that the law was probably only about 7 months old at the time. So consumers were getting to a really good place with eliminating single-use plastic bags. When the COVID came, I think there was some concerns about how it was transmitted and are these bags safe. CDC has come out and issued guidance on that now and says that they are not a carrier or you won't get the COVID disease from using your own bag. So again, that law was suspended for a period of time and came back. I think the difficult thing is turning them on and then turning them off, and consumers getting comfortable with the safety measures of what's going on around them. So the bags are back.
Wayne,
People,
Wayne, we have less than 30 seconds. Time flies when you're having fun. I just wanted to get to one current event here. There seems to be a national coin shortage. Are the grocers experiencing that? I mean, are we asking and encouraging customers to pay with a credit card now because we just don't have, change available?
Well, I had 3 trends for you, and cashless is actually one of those trends. Yes, grocery stores are experiencing what other retailers around the country are on the coin shortages. So that is definitely something that is new and something that, who would have thought, right? So yeah, we're seeing that. And, a lot of consumers are moving cashless on their own right now anyway because of hygiene concerns and safety concerns of the COVID.
Right. Imagine you're also seeing a spike in online grocery delivery. I had so many more questions for you. We just didn't have time for them. But Wayne Pesce of the Connecticut Food Association, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us on The Real Story.
Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, and thank you for joining us on The Real Story. Be sure to tune in to the Fox 61 News tonight, starting at 10. Have a great day.